artists around the world. Teaching artists around the world. Artists around the world. Teaching artists around the world.
Well, listen, without further ado, do you mind? Let me introduce you, my friend. For the folks that don't know, Winfred's been a fellow with the school many times. We are so thrilled to have Winfred Amoah with us. Is a Hohoe-based artist whose media of practice includes plastics, textiles, used recharge cards, research articles, newspapers, and acrylic on canvas. Amoah uses these materials to explore personal identities and community belonging, particularly in the contemporary Ghanaian context. Amoah's series of mixed medias depicts the faces of some of the Hohoe dwelling people. The face as a universal concept is a communicative event. Seeing these faces, we are left to be accomplices in making meaning of these pro-communicative gestures. We see the smile and we assume they're happy. When they are stern, we wonder what they might be thinking. Winfred has taken part in several group shows and is our visiting artist today. Welcome, Winfred Amoah. And also,
thank you so
I'm
much.
sending love to you said your father, I'm not to get too personal, I know your father's having some health issues, so I'm sending you good healing energy there. And I also know that you reached out to me about needing some help selling some art to raise money to help out your dad. So I just want to make listen to people if people have thoughts about people that might want to buy Winfred's art, because Winfred makes incredibly beautiful, awesome, compelling community-based art. So welcome, Winfred.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. It's a great pleasure for being in your show and also having the opportunity to talk about my work now.
Great. So feel free to talk.
Right. So my name, as Natu already introduced, my name is Winfred Amoah. I'm an artist from Hohoe, Accra, Ghana, in the western part of Africa. And I'm a mixed media artist, and I work with textiles, plastics, ideas, core cards, and acrylic on canvases as well. With my work for some time now, I dive into mental health a bit, work with expressions, and also generate concerns about mental health and how we could go around it as a community, as people, and also as artists or creatives, and how we could find solutions to these issues around my community. For some time back, I have been organizing outrages for community folks around my area, where with the help of an NGO called PEP Ghana, where we go and then educate the people about mental health, which I think is very important for this part of the world, because we really don't take mental health very serious. From where I come from, people abuse people all in the name of religion, tradition, and also pride as well, which as an artist, I think it is wrong. And we have a lot to do as creatives to change the narratives in our society. So my work is not only just the aesthetics aspect of what I do, but also the education aspect, which I think is very important for me as creative, because people need to be educated. People need to get sensitized about these things and how it works. Unfortunately, the part of the world in which I come from, people really don't take these things very serious. Unfortunately enough, even my government don't even take it serious. Mental health is an issue that I think, so far as we take 3 times or 2 times square meals a day, it's as important as that as creatives. But a lot of it is being ignored because of sometimes the religion aspect and the tradition aspect, because our governance is cut across religion and also tradition a lot in this part of the world. So as an artist, I'm doing my best it's one step at a time. I believe where when I take a step, someone will take a step. So I think, yeah, I am doing it so far, I should see, as an artist, working alongside with the community, trying to impact people, and also creating my pieces, hopefully, to show the world, to showcase it to the world, and then make some sales as well. Yeah.
I love it. Hey, Winfred, do you mind showing us some stuff?
Let me see if I can share from here. Yeah, so these are samples of my work, and this is how I work. I work with textiles a lot because I believe textiles have a way of communication, and also have a lot of symbols which has a traditional heritage and information in it. I also believe that textiles didn't originate from Africa. We adopted it and made it our own. To I think for me as an artist, I have what's the name?
Cool.
This connectivity to it, and then how it has impacted my community and then the country as large. Yeah. So these are some of the samples of my work I do. With some of the works, when you take a look at their faces, the expressions are very deep, and the expressions have communications in them. For instance, when you take a look at their eyes, the eyes is speaking a lot. The eyes have a lot of information you should take from the picture. And so all these things I play around with the work for my audience to get to know what I'm saying, what I'm talking about. Yeah. So these are just few works that I'm showing here. Yeah. So I have works that I use solely textiles, and then I use painting for the background, which I believe textiles, as I said earlier, it's not from Ghana. It's been adopted, and it has this narrative and culture identities embedded in it. And as creatives, I believe showcasing it in my work or in my form of practice is very important, because it has all this mood swing. For instance, before someone goes for a funeral, they have a certain textile they should wear. When somebody's going for an outdooring, there is a particular textiles that they should wear. So textiles have played a very huge role in my community, and also has a very symbolic feature in my community. Yeah.
I feel like, Winfred, also, like if you did a close-up, you can see the mixed media. It's hard to tell at a distance, but the mixed media nature, but there's textiles literally on the canvas, right? And
right, yeah.
And then like some of those also you find materials, like you said, charge cards and stuff in the neighborhood that become visual material on top of the canvas as well.
Yeah.
Did you?
So
go ahead.
So as an artist, I believe my work is made in a way to communicate, to speak to the community first before I move to the global world. And I have this charge I put on me as an artist, that I have to make sure that my work speaks to my community, my village first before it moves to the world. So we go for outreaches every 2 weeks with the help of an organization called PEP Ghana, where we talk about mental health. And for me, I believe it is important, it is key, because people around my community are not into mental health. They don't really even care about it. People go through abusive stuff in the name of religion, in the name of tradition, in the name of marriage, and people are not really concerned about it. So as an artist, I believe these things should be talked about often because unfortunately my government is not doing anything about it. And it is sad. I don't really blame them in a way because they grew up, we grew up in this religion where we believe that our tradition is key, it's better. But unfortunately, I would say we have to dilute it a bit for people to get mentally stable in our society. Yeah.
So Amber asked, what are charge cards and what role do they play in your community? Oh yeah, charge cards, she's asking.
Yeah. So the charge cards have serial numbers. And when you go to this communicative platforms or websites, and then you dial the serial numbers on the recharge cards, it takes you back to the individuals who use this cards. So in a way, it's just representing the people in the community. They are individual people. I am putting there as in a way, in an abstract way. Yeah.
So the ways to charge cell phones, Amber, and they also
Yeah.
And they also have a lot of cool colors.
Right.
But they're like literally like glued on there. So, and also I remember before you talked about the group of women you work with. Do you still work with that same group?
Yes, I still work with the group of women, but I don't work with them in a larger scale anymore because now I don't really have the funds to work with them on a larger scale where people come to sew, clean, package, and then do larger works. Because now I need funds. And these people, when they come around, you ought to pay them. You have to pay them because they are putting energy or resources into what you are doing, and you have to pay them back. So I'm currently I'm working with only just 2 women. Hopefully, I wanted to expand in the way I previously did, where I expanded it. I had a lot of women around where we work together, and then I collaborate. I wouldn't say we collaborate together in what I do as creative, because I believe them even sharing idea alone gives me what to do or what not to do as an artist. Yeah.
Great. Well, so you saw the work, folks, and Winfred can show more, but certainly there's many questions folks might have. And I'll start off with some basic ones about the life of an artist outside of Accra.
Right.
I think there's some interest in my part. I'm always wondering, like, do you have a gallery you work with? How do you get your work shown? Maybe you could talk a little bit more, not just about the artwork, but also your life as an artist in terms of the day-to-day and how you get paid and stuff like that.
All right. So I'm a full-time artist, which obviously it is really difficult in this part of the world. It's not even this part of the world. I mean, being a full-time artist is difficult, and it's not easy at all because I'm in a remote area and creating these various pieces. And I think it is something we should, as creatives, we should come together and then have these collaborative spaces which are called safe spaces, which could help artists, because honestly it is difficult. I'm currently working with a gallery in New York called Calabar Gallery, but I believe more effort would be put into it where we could do more, because it's difficult. Being an artist in Ghana is very difficult. Things are very expensive. Even talking about the dollar rate, it's higher. So even getting art supplies is very difficult sometimes to get. And you see, as artists, I believe it's also part of the process. I'm going through all these things. For me, I have normalized it in a way because I believe it's part of the process, and then it makes you an artist as well. So yeah.
Sure. Well, listen, you and I spoke a lot about the difficulties of being an artist everywhere. And I think Teresa also, who's here, was like very difficult. Listen, sending you good energy and love on that front. Virginia, do you want to ask your question rather than in the chat? Is that okay?
Sure, but I have to read it because I've forgotten what I've asked already.
Sorry, I gotta read it.
So my question is, do you have an art community there as a support system? And I have two questions actually. So do you have an art community? And then what do you do to recharge yourself? What do you do to, because it sounds like it's not just difficult being an artist, but having to tackle the whole mental health part of it is very draining emotionally. So what do you do to recharge yourself?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm not in Accra, where we have the art community a lot, where we could just socialize and then meet them sometime and then have fun, have some drinks and all of that. I'm outside Accra, where I would drive like 6 hours to 7 hours to get to Accra. So the art community here, it's not here. So what I do is I team up with other creatives, those who are into cinematography and all of that, and we discuss ideas. And for me, I believe creatives are not just people who create stuff, but people with ideas as well. And I work with these people. It's not easy to be outside Accra and then work, because sometimes it's stressful. Getting folks who are into art, which are not around you, which is very difficult at a point in time, because sometimes you need them to work, you need ideas to work with, and you need motivation to also work with. And I think for me, it is difficult in a way, but time to time I move to Accra, I go for shows, I go for art talks and all of that, where I meet one or two occasions, like artists, we talk, have some drinks, and then we vibe at the time. But it is not often. I don't do it often, because even it's expensive for me to move from here to Accra. If I'm to go to Accra, yeah.
Thanks for that. Tell me about that New York gallery. What's going on with that? What's it called? What's the name of it?
So the gallery is called Calabar Gallery. They help in making some sales for me, but after I produce work, and I think they've been doing good so far in a way, but I believe more can be done to put my work out there. Yeah, so I believe, fingers are still crossed, that hopefully more will be done, and then my work will be shown in known institutions across the world, and then we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I got to tell you, I'm always on Instagram, and I could tell you are too.
Yeah, right.
I always see, like, I'm about to put a like on something, and you've already put a like on it. And I'm like, Winfred's there ahead of me.
Yeah.
But you must use social media a lot too, right?
Yeah. Yes, and so with the social media, people get to know me through social media. Sometimes I just have conversations there with people. Sometimes people only see the aesthetics part of what I do as creative, but I believe having conversation around it is very important before the sales, because when people get to know this is what you are doing, they pay more attention to it. And it's not easy to talk people out of what I do, especially my community folks. But I think it's a step. I'm not to do it alone. When I try it, someone also take it from there, and then it works. And I believe these things are very important. So I use the social media a lot. We talk. I meet people. I meet galleries who are interested, and sometimes it's difficult. You talk to these people. They like your work. They like what you do. It takes several months for them to respond, and sometimes the condition in which they want to show your work is not really what you want as creative, so you have to decline and stuff like that. But I mean, it's cool. With time, it will get there. Yeah.
It's a thing to navigate. I saw that you and Sabian had a talk yesterday. Was it yesterday?
Right. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Right on. Shout out to both of you. Anybody else got some questions, thoughts?
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
Yeah, what can I ask? The pieces, what scale are they? So, because we just saw them on screen, but I was trying to get my head around how physically large they are.
So they are a bit large scale. We have scales of 153 centimeters by 153 centimeters. We have 45 by 40 inches centimeters. So that kind of large scale a bit, yeah.
Thank you. They're cool, man. I really like them.
Welcome. Yeah.
They're great. They're really great. I think they're so awesome. Rebecca McGee Tuck says, how are you attaching the plastic to the canvas? Sewing or an adhesive? If it's an adhesive, does it hold well? What is it?
So what I do is I have glues I use in holding these plastics, and sometimes too I also use excessive heat to hold them on canvases. And then after holding them, I add stitches to it. I sew it. I try to penetrate and use thread and needle to sew it, and then it's stitched on the canvas. So it's a difficult task, and I leave it to the women to do it for me because they have the technical know-how of how to put these things together. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Are you, Ruthie asks, are you in touch or familiar with the Africa Center in New York City?
No, please. Yeah, I'm not.
No. Ruthie, what's the story with that?
It's well, it's been around, but it's now sort of becoming reinvigorated. It's on Upper Fifth Avenue, like on the museum sort of stretch on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, at the top of Central Park. And they have a new building, and their programming was delayed by COVID, but look for them on Instagram.
Right, I will. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Cheers. Teresa asks, what keeps you motivated to continue creating? What keeps you going, Winfred? What makes you want to make this art?
I think it's the people around me keeps me going, even if I'm in difficult times. Seeing their stories, hearing from them, and also engaging with them. For me, it's something in a lifetime you won't get, and I believe it keeps me going all the time. When I see stories, when I hear stories, when I go for outreaches, and then I see these things, I really want to take a step, and in my own way, because I don't have enough to do that, and so I believe that's what keeps me going. Sometimes it's difficult, but when you hear their stories, and mostly I record some of them, and then I take photos of some of them too as well. And when I go through it, and then I hear these things, and I'm like, man, I have to put this on a canvas, and then I have to show this thing to the world or something. So I think it keeps me going all the time. Yeah, regardless.
Why in that one artwork does the guy have a shoe on his head?
So with that, the title is In My Shoes. It's an African proverb where they say you can't put, if you know what I'm feeling, put your leg in my shoes. And yeah, so I believe people are going through a lot, and then we don't really know they are going through a lot because our legs are not in their shoes. And this for me is very important and something we should talk about, because there are a lot of people who we see quote unquote normal but are not normal. There are a lot of things going behind the scenes, but because our legs are not in their shoes, we really don't know what's going on. Yeah. Well,
and I think you mentioned, but certainly worth going into, you are trained as a psychologist.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So I was trained in University of Cape Coast, where I did psychology, but I'm not practicing psychology. I'm a full-time artist, so I wouldn't really put it in my CV that I'm a psychologist. But I was trained as a psychologist, but I'm a full-time artist now. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think like your interest in the internal thinking or the internal processes and mental health are spurred from
Yeah,
that. You express it
right.
in
Yeah.
arts.
Yeah, yeah. And I believe the community in which, or the country in which I come from, or the continent in which I come from in the whole, really don't take mental health very serious. There's no better rehabilitation centers for people like this. And it's difficult all over. People are going through a lot and there's nothing to be done. Even our state health institution are not doing much. The last time I visited the hospital was like last week, where we went to check up on some people, and then there's no changes in the facility. People, it's just what's the name? Going, it's not getting better all the time. You see, so there's nothing new. The government is not putting any effort to work hand in hand with the people and then with the community in that particular aspect of life. People are not really giving attention to when it comes to mental health. So I think it's something I'm just doing for people to let people be aware that this thing is important. It's important as 3 square mile, and we should take it serious. So as an artist, as I'm saying, I'm starting. So I believe somebody also come and pick it from where I started, and then we move together. Yeah.
Wonderful. Sabian, you have a question or thought or comment?
Yeah. So, I've talked with Nana about, some of so he takes the mental health aspect of his community. And I've noticed in particular, from seeing the images and the expressions, they're very intimate. They seem like you've been able to draw a more encompass personality or expression from your community. And I know that, mental health is stigmatized where you are. But how about your artwork? Like with how you finish an expression of, the representation in your community, how have people in Hohoe like been able to perceive your work? Like how do they see themselves, or how are people receiving your artwork in your local area?
So I think it's difficult in a way because but I believe with time they'll catch up. Sometimes when you ask permission that you want to use this person for this work and then you finish, and sometimes you get attacked for using basically because they don't really understand what you are doing. They attack you for using their work. Sometimes some of them are really cool because at the end of the day, you bring a person to your studio and say, hey, look, this is what I've done with your story. And sometimes they don't really take it in a nice way. Sometimes people really what's the name? Appreciate what I am doing, but most of the time I sometimes face difficulties in telling them that, yeah, this is your story and this is what I've done with it. But I believe with time they'll catch up. It's a gradual process. I don't need to rush with them because these are my community folks. These are people I live with, I eat with, and like I collaborate with all the time. So I believe with time they'll catch up, and then they'll be fully part of my work and what I do. Yeah.
Cool. And Sabian, thanks so much for being with us. It's good to see you, honestly. It's cool. It's a good, just wonderful to just saying that. Carrie, do you want to ask your question on do you mind just saying it?
I was just wondering, with your background in psychology, if like it's just a separate tract of exploration, if you've done like art therapy community projects.
And so the community project I did with it's the outreach. That is the only thing I am doing now because that is what I can afford around me. It's difficult because these things are sometimes expensive. Getting health workers around you, going to these places and then talking to the people, having them, engaging them one-on-one on this thing is very expensive because at the end of the day, you have to pay help to sort out the health workers and the people around. So I have this organization who is really helping, and I'm super glad they are helping. And they sometimes help in funding these things for me. And so it looks easier, but you see, they cannot carry it alone. I need a lot of people on board who could also help. Sometimes it's not necessarily about funding, but also people coming on board to talk about it, to educate people, because I believe there are professionals who have the technical know-how on these things, and then they know how to go around with it. Yeah.
Thanks so much. By the way, Teresa too, it's good to see you with us. I didn't know if you want to say anything about, also, you're kind of, since you're also in the area, anything you want to chime in about the difficulty of being an artist in that your part of the world?
Hello, everyone. It hasn't been easy practicing here.
Yeah.
I also think we don't have institutions that actually appreciate the kind of art we do. And so it's been self-funding. And so you need to fund everything on your own in terms of exhibitions and workshops. And I like what William said about the fact that the people story and what we do is what actually motivates us to keep doing what we are doing. And because if you're looking at what we get at the end of the day, is like it's not even half the money you're spending actually doing what you are doing. And so yes, we don't have the institutions. And I also think, like, since we are also doing it, it shows that we can also do it, just that sometimes we need a little push to move beyond our comfort zone in terms of the little that we are doing for ourselves and for the community that we work with.
I love it. Thanks for that. And it's good to see you here. It's cool. Hey, while we're talking about support, it seems like it would be only fair, let's talk about money for a second. I always like to talk about money. People need it. Last I checked. First of all, I wanted you to make a pitch for how people could buy your art. I also wanted to ask, in terms of the shipping, I hate to be so simple, but for folks that are international, maybe you can answer how that all works out too.
Yeah. So with my work, you could get my work on Etsy with the name Winfred Amoah. We could also check the Calabar website. You could also DM me privately if you want my work. With the shipping, it's kind of my works are on canvases, so I just need to roll them and then put them on in a tube, and then I ship them often. But I have this larger scales that I'm working with.
Hey, can you put that? Sorry. Can you put the name of your New York gallery in the chat? And also the artsy. I just would like to give people links. It's helpful to know. And do you sell a lot of your work locally, or is it national? Like, if you were to do a chart percentage, how much sells where do you get the bulk of your art sales done? And so
honestly, I don't what's the name? I don't sell in Ghana, which I think I'm a bit disappointed, because I really want my people to collect my stuff, which I believe it would be a dream that will come true someday. But I always sell my stuff internationally, and then also people across the globe buy my stuff. Yeah,
that's fine. I mean, it's good to get a sense. I think it's helpful for everybody to see. I'm always like, I find it amazing artists survive at all. I think it defies everything. So it's wonderful to hear this. And I also, we're a community here at the school, so we're all about supporting each other. Virginia, you had a question, a comment?
Oh, I was really struck at one point by Well, a couple of things. One was that your passion and your frustration, and that was coming out on your face. Sometimes Zoom is not so good at the emotional thing, but sometimes it's like right here. So, and I was thinking about how that connects with your work. And then I looked at some of your Instagram posts where you're actually creating. I love that. So, and you are like so present, like right next to this, and it's a full body expression. And I don't know if it's a question or just a comment about how much of your personal self that you put into each piece, and how you have to if you're doing it that intimately. I mean, I mean, these pieces are so big that it's almost a dance that you're doing.
Yeah. So I think I put everything into what I do. Because I believe in what I do. I believe the people have to be put out there. So I put every energy, everything I have spiritually and then physically into what I do. For the work to get to where it has to get to, and to I'm working. I work with it. I work with what's the name? With a lot of energy all around me when creating my pieces. Yeah.
All right. Well, listen. Anybody else some further thoughts? Winfred, I love your work, and when you reached out to me, I was like, let's do this. I want to get support for you, and also just like supporting each other. I mean, to be very simple, I want to state something very obvious, which is always worth to remind ourselves at the school. It's historically very new that all of us can be in a room together and talk about art. And there's power in supporting each other and learning from each other. And so I'm hoping, we can do that. And I have to tell you, I haven't been to Accra, Ghana. I want to, but but I think it's great to have you here. Is there any other final questions or thoughts for Nana before we go? All right, buddy. Listen, everyone, thanks for jumping in. Much love, Winfred, for joining us here.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Great. And we'll send information to the school about what you're up to and links. And we look forward to hearing more from you as we go. And you too, Teresa. It's good to see you here too. Okay, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye. Ciao.
Ciao, folks.
Artists around the world, teaching artists